This is Real Estate Talk Boston. We're going to be talking downtown Boston real estate right now, joined by Ricardo Rodriguez of Coldwell Banker. Ricardo, thanks for stopping by.
No, thank you very much for inviting me. This is exciting.
I'm psyched to have you here. You're one of the top brokers in Boston. So
My mom says, so yes.
You know what you're talking about. What are you seeing right now? I mean, we're just heading into 2018, but the market's pretty hot right now?
You know, the market remains pretty active. I think one of the most interesting things about it, particularly when you compare 2016 to 2017, is that it's kind of like the stability. I think for a while, it was very volatile. I think that we're still kind of like reeling from that very, crazy, very, very aggressive market. And I think what we've seen, particularly in the past 6 months, it's some sort of a stability, which I think is good for everyone. It's good certainly for the buyers. I think it's good for the market in general. We've certainly seen, very, very active market segments. Things are selling well. Things are selling for very good prices. We're still seeing level of, appreciation. Price per square foot still going up in certain neighborhoods. But I think that in general, there is a little bit more of a sense of stability, which I think it just makes for a much more continuous and, obviously a stable market.
Sure, because anytime you see things start to skyrocket, which has occasionally happened in the past, usually
Yes.
What goes up has to come down.
At some point, you have to get stable. And, the good news about Boston is that because our levels of inventory are kind of like controlled by how much new construction we can produce in the city and how much existing inventory there is, we really don't see the craziness that you see in other markets. So inventory is usually pretty stable, which I think it help us keep a very healthy market overall.
The forecast in regards to number of units that are coming into the market over the next 5 years is pretty significant though, right?
Yes, there's a lot of interest throughout, not just in downtown Boston, but also in the periphery of Boston to create, of course, new housing. We have seen for the past few years the creation of mostly high-end properties. Most of the stuff that has come, particularly in downtown Boston, has been properties that are in that $2, $3, $4, $5+ million market. What we haven't seen in a while is the creation of new construction that is more guided towards the entry level and maybe the mid level of the market. But I think that those things are changing. A lot of the developers that I work with, we're in conversations on making sure that when we're producing these new buildings, when things are coming on the market, we are not just focusing on the high end, but that we are also targeting, the entry level, because that's where we have the biggest gap in inventory, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
It's tough. You're right. I mean, there's a lot of buildings that are coming on, and they start at $800, $900, $1 million. For that segment below
Yes.
that, there's definitely
there is no
a
much,
need.
and certainly price point is specific to a neighborhood or to one market. But yes, I think that in general, with new construction, we haven't been focusing on that entry and mid level, and I think that is changing, and I think that's a good thing for the market because people are waiting there for that inventory to come along, and we will see that moving along nicely, I think.
Now, I know you work with a lot of new construction
Yes.
in the city. Are there any specific developments that you would like to highlight or
Well, thank you for that.
have opportunity?
Yes, of course. We're working right now on this very, very, very cool project, really nice project in South Boston. It's called Port 45, a brand new construction from the ground up. It's kind of like a slightly different proposition from most of the new construction that is happening in that neighborhood. It's more of a full service building in which we have concierge and we have amenity like smart home. Certainly we have garage, we have a gym, a common lounge, common terrace, pet spa, private, pet, dog run, all those things. And it's doing quite well. We've been on the market now for a combined 11, 12 months, and we just hit 80% of units sold. So that's a nice project. Again, a nice mix of 1 bedrooms all the way up to primarily 2.5, 3 bedrooms. But it's really, it's been very well received because it's a nice alternative for people who maybe are slightly priced out of the South End or the Seaport. And where we are at the intersection of South Boston, South End, and the Seaport, so it becomes, a very accessibly priced point and geographically speaking. Then, I was talking to somebody recently about Bay Village. Bay Village is right in the heart of the city. It's right at the intersection of Back Bay and the South End. It's the smallest neighborhood in the city. And I think because of that, because it's kind of like nestled for a while, a lot of the new construction wasn't happening, and suddenly it has kind of like exploded. So in a good way. So we have a new project there that is called The Mark. It's 9 units. It's very boutique. The developer wanted to keep that very intimate nature of the neighborhood. So instead of going for a very, very large building, filled with units, he did something a little bit more intimate that makes more sense for the kind of like the culture of the neighborhood and what the neighborhood stands for. So that one we launched it just a few months ago, and it's also doing quite nice.
It's one of the reasons why I think we're so lucky to live in Boston. Is there's so many different neighborhoods that have their own niche of real estate, different feels.
Yes.
You were talking about South Boston and the
Yes.
fact that this full service building. For the longest time, everybody thought of South Boston as the triple deckers.
Yeah,
that's
being
converted over, and now
Yeah.
you're seeing as the Seaport and creep into South Boston with these full service buildings. It's pretty cool to offer a different dimension to those neighborhoods.
Yeah, I do think that a neighborhood like South Boston, certainly the triple decker, it's a very, very nice composition. I think it allows people to still access residential units and new construction, because the price point remains a little bit more advantageous, let's say, in relationship to a larger building. But this brings just like a different flavor, and it's an alternative for people who might not want to leave South Boston, or who might want to move out of the South End, and this just becomes kind of like a nice option. Yes, a nice transition for them. So it's worked. It's worked very nicely for us. And to your point of how neighborhoods are, that's the beauty, as you mentioned, of Boston. That depending on what you want, you almost have like a neighborhood that you can go to. Right, and I don't think many cities have that. I think most cities are pretty homogeneous as far as what they offer culturally between neighborhoods. But in Boston, we certainly are very defined culturally, and what people want to do and accomplish, and where they want to eat, and so it adds for that variety, and I think it makes it very interesting for us as real estate professionals, and I also think for buyers.
Do you see a lot of international buyers coming into the market right now?
Yeah, remember, because of the high number of universities per capita, we do see a lot of foreign buyers coming to the table, and it's primarily in our experience has been primarily around that. It's parents that maybe are buying a 1-bedroom for their kid, or a 2-bedroom so they can have a roommate. So I think that really feeds a lot of our market. Yeah.
Flipping it to your business, okay, you've been an agent in Boston for a while now, had a ton of success. If you're speaking to the agent that's just getting going in the city and wants to sell those high-end condos, what would be one piece of advice to them on how to get their business going?
I would say, I think the major piece of advice that I would give somebody is have clarity as what you want to be your end game. I think it's very easy to get lost in the noise of the business, right? You start seeing people's numbers and how much this, you start, doing all these calculations in your head, and you start kind of like comparing yourself to other people, and how am I going to do that? I will never get there. Whatever it is that is going through your head. I think that's never a helpful thing for somebody who's just starting the business. And even for some people that have experience, I think that you need to play it on your own terms. Have clarity as to what it is that you're going to be offering your clients. Make sure that your value proposition, that what you're offering your clients is clean, it's clear, it's different from everybody else, because you're going to be competing with thousands of us. And then make sure that you understand that this is a business that you have to build. So unless you're a very, very lucky person that in your first year, kills it, for the most part, for most of us, it takes years before you actually get it going. And also understand that this is not an easy business. It's not what you see on the TV shows. It's nothing near to the glamorous things that you are doing. It's a nitty-gritty. I think it gives you like a different notion of how this business operates. This is a nitty-gritty, hard, focused business. And if you understand that it is a business, and if you give the time for it to grow, I think that you can build something really nice for yourself. But the beauty of it is that you can do it. There is opportunity for everybody. Everybody can build a nice business if you do it right, if you do it ethically, if you work really hard on it, and again, if you have clarity as to what it is that you're offering to your clients.
You can start from any point as well, which is nice, at any age.
Yes, it's up to you. It's really up to you. I think that is my favorite thing about the business. It's yours. So you can do whatever you want with it.
Thanks, Ricardo.
No.
Value missile from one of the top in Boston. And remember, if you'd like to connect with Ricardo and his team directly, you can check out their website at ricardoboston.com.
Made it easy.
And we have more tips, very easy. More tips just like this one right here on boston.com.